Wake up this morning, generally good mood.
Oh, yeah.
My main Instagram account seems to be disabled again.
What?
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Second time this happened.
Like lost again?
It's
in
still
that, like etherealness?
visible, like
Okay.
from the outside.
Yeah.
But my feed is completely gone. Like I have a black screen, no inbox, and no notifications.
That's so scary.
That is quite curious.
So like my small account that I was talking about a few weeks ago still works fine. And I've had a few other accounts. I've checked those. They're all fine too. So it's just the big one that's suddenly unusable.
And you get no communication when this happens.
Oh God, no. There's no communication.
See, that's the part that blows my mind.
Yeah, I know.
And the natural defense mechanism is, oh, well, maybe I was hacked, right? That's not the case. Like it's almost never the case. That it's always something internal. Like Instagram decides to do something. You would think that they would then have to email you or something, especially if you've given them money ever,
Yeah,
because then it's like they should owe you something, right?
I would think.
Correspondence in general would be helpful.
Or at least some acknowledgement of
Because even
something.
if it is automated, even if it's like, oh, all these boxes were ticked and therefore your account got
They
whatever.
can send you an automated message.
Exactly. If it's automated, there's no excuse.
Yeah.
There is the possibility that it's just a glitch and
Sure.
that it could sort itself out, but the interface is different than it used to be. So you can't report things the way you could before. And even then it was bad. So it'll be harder to make a case to get it back this time. That being said, I'm not as worried about it this time either.
Well, that's good.
Well, I was more like, I didn't know what I was yet when it happened the first time, or like what Remy was, or I was just building something. It was like, this is going somewhere, who knows what.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, well, I have nearly 1 million followers on TikTok, and I have the YouTube page. It's already doing fairly well on its own.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's supported by Instagram.
I guess not. Yeah.
Deep down when this happens, is there a teeny part of you subconsciously that goes, oh, I hope it just fucks it all
Oh,
up?
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not just, oh, my poor page. It's also kind of like, well, fuck it anyway, because I don't care about that page.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, sometimes it's just at the best of times, it's doing well, and I'm content with it. That's the best of times.
Yeah.
The worst of times, it's a frustrating chore.
Yeah, it's an inconvenience at all
Yeah,
times.
it's an
kind of thing.
inconvenience that I don't enjoy engaging with.
Yeah.
So there is a part of me that's like, in an odd way, the same way it was the first time, but even more so, like, relieved. Like, well, fuck it. Who cares? Like, who needs it?
In the grand scheme of things, that's the right way to look at it.
It is. That being said, it's also very easy for me if I wanted to start over again, because for the same reasons I mentioned earlier about I didn't really understand what Remy was the first time. I understand now that it would be a lot of work, but it would only be a matter of time that I could do the same thing again. It's just kind of then like, how much do I care to do it again?
Exactly. Would you?
My thing would be like, I think by the time that happens, by the time you'd rebuilt, I think Instagram will have moved on to something else.
Yeah.
Well, and it's already happening.
Yeah.
Look at they're changing their format to match TikTok.
Yeah.
They're trying so hard to get what TikTok has.
Dude, I will never want to be the person or the company or the idea that is trying to make itself as cool as something else.
It's never going to happen.
Those things just drive me nuts. Like when I see the new Dell PowerBook thing, and it's like they designed it to look like an Apple. They've even named it to look like an Apple. All the coloring's Apple. All the advertising's Apple. It's just like, so you're just Apple. You're Apple crappy.
Now, that
You're
said,
crapple.
non-innovators don't succeed in the business sphere, typically, on average.
Usually, yeah.
Yeah.
Which
you
is one of the reasons that capitalism in that respect works.
It's like you want to juggle the eBay versus Amazon thing.
Yeah.
Right now, it would be in eBay's best interest to try to pull some Amazon shit. But it's too late. When once upon a time, eBay was the dominant
eBay was all there was.
internet marketplace. Absolutely.
Yeah, I remember that.
And now it's a drop in the bucket. Like I'll go into eBay now to try to find some of the small bits and bobs that I'll get from eBay, and they're not even on there anymore. They've moved.
Did you just use bits and bobs while wearing an Australian
He
hat?
definitely did.
Oh my
Sure
God!
did.
I
This
think
is all a
he's
part of your new persona.
appropriating
Yeah, he really
Australian
is.
culture.
He's wearing Australian boots.
Take that.
Cancel
oh man,
Scott.
Australian boots and Australian hat.
Yeah.
You're problematic.
You're Australian
dude.
top to bottom, bro.
You're problematic, and you need to go.
Yeah.
That's right.
Scott just
Cancelled.
managed- The hat is still here.
Should I go or should I put on a terrible, terrible accent?
Yes.
Yeah, that would have helped matters.
Well,
Yeah.
doesn't hurt.
Well, doesn't.
I don't think so. Australians, you know.
I mean, if you're gonna
you
appropriate,
can appropriate that.
if you're gonna appropriate any culture, it may as well be a similar ethnicity to yours.
Yeah, right.
Isn't it funny how like some things are still okay
Yeah.
to mock, and like we still have leprechauns? Like it's just a drunken Irish guy.
Yeah.
Like come on, that's not a mythical creature. It's just a tiny Irish dude.
Well, but there was legends around them, right? As long as there's a legend around it, I think
You
you're fine.
can build a legend around a drunk.
and
I
they
know
did.
a few.
They did.
Uncle Bob. My Uncle Bob I brought up a few times. His name is not Bob.
There's
But-
a legend.
That-
Bits-
the
it's
legend
Bits
of
and
Uncle Bob passing out against a light pole with his pants around his ankles and being arrested for indecent exposure.
See,
You can
that's
build a legend around a drunk.
That's the thing. Like, I mean, maybe it's just the way that I'm wired, but it's tough when I hear those legend stories of things of people like that. I just get concerned for them.
Oh, for
Like,
sure.
I
He's
can't
not
just
doing
enjoy
well.
it as it is. It's
For
just
the
like, oh,
record,
he's a-
Bob's life is a shambles.
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that, but he's a legend, and everybody knows that he's just a drunk. And I'm like, oh
Well,
man,
to
I
be
feel
fair,
for that dude.
Maybe his life isn't in shambles.
Well,
it
maybe.
was. It goes in and out.
Yeah,
Like, sometimes
as legends
it appears
do.
He's doing well.
Yep.
Other times you don't see him for a
And,
while.
and the more capable this person is during normal circumstances, and the more messed up they are during their dips, like the wider that range, the more legendary. You know, it's like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
legendary
Oh, for
gap.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't. You
A
wouldn't have a
legendary gap
legend
is-
without
it's
the
like-
peaks
it's real.
and
He's
valleys.
he's
Yeah.
a surgeon, but when he's on vacation, he smokes crack.
Yeah, no one's talking about the guy who lived an even flow, steady life. That
yeah.
we want to know about the home run though.
Oh yeah.
What kind of crazy shit did he get into?
What happened to Babe Ruth after he smacked that homer?
Yeah, exactly. So,
Cigars. Whiskey would be my assumptions.
but you know, I gotta say, I
Sounds a
always
little too
wondered.
decadent. I think he's a whiskey guy.
Like I always thought when we started doing this podcast, I was like, it's a shame I can't tap into that energy I was feeling for those 3 days I lost my account the first time, because that would have made for an interesting discussion.
The anger?
The anger, the kind of disillusion, right? Because
So, like, what does life even mean?
well, I don't think that people realize, like, and obviously it will scale with your investment, how much you have locked up into your platforms.
oh yeah.
Not just your virtual identity, because as I said before, you can't really take that away from me anymore. It's kind of like married to me now. That will just come over time again if I want it to. But like the amount of work that you can put into something like that, and then they don't have to be accountable. They just, it's gone.
Truth.
And we need to figure that out. That needs to be, something needs to happen, some form of regulation where they have to be accountable to someone.
No, they won't. Like it
No,
moves
I know
too
they
fast,
won't.
right? Like all this stuff in terms of like they just started dealing with Facebook in terms of the stuff that they contributed to within the election of previous.
2016.
So it's like
5-year-old
they're
history.
so long, and like how many times has their algorithm changed? 100%
and what
by the time that
lawmaker
happened.
can you trust to put
None of
regulation?
them.
I
no,
don't
you
know
You
that
can't
it
even
would get
understand it.
But
Exactly.
the problem is it's too abstract.
Precisely.
Like, what in the world
and
happened?
too political and biased.
No, there's nothing that
absolutely.
Okay, so some people took the option of using it for nefarious gains, but it's just psychology, right? Like it's the reason that they were hiring and still hire people that work within the VLT market, the casino market, because it's just you're just trying to tap into people's neurological reward centers.
Did I tell you, I have a client who might get hired by Robinhood.
Oh, sick.
So
Well,
she-
just as they go down.
So she's studying neuro and gambling addiction, and
Yeah.
she studies gambling addiction in rats.
Yeah.
So she creates these scenarios and tests where rats go in and have random variable reward intervals. And,
Usually cocaine.
no. In this case, it's actual normal food.
Ah, damn.
Yeah. No, because
a fun study.
Normal
'cause the-
food.
One for them, one for
the
me.
cocaine creates its own dependency, right? When
Yeah.
she's trying to see the dependency
Of
of
the thing.
random variable reward.
Got it.
So she's studying this, and she actually came to me recently, and she said, "What do I do? I've been working toward my doctorate for like 6 years already, and I could get out of it with a doctorate in this, this, and this, and perhaps or PhD, sorry, and perhaps not get a good paying job, or I can leave right now and go make 6 figures for Robinhood to make their app more addictive."
I mean, I would always say the right decision would be the slow decision, personally.
Yeah.
She's studying instant gratification, and she's about to make a choice for her life based on instant
Yeah, the
gratification.
irony is
the
palpable.
irony of a lifetime. I want to.
Making $100,000.
That's
You
instant
can't write
gratification.
this
Starting
shit.
at $100,000 a year, working for a super giant app like that,
Sure.
is a mark on your resume bigger than a PhD ever will be.
Okay, so I would argue no, because all of these things are just tenuous, right? Like, if you have things that are long-term investments and get long-term rewards, that's like the whole nature of like the market as it is right now. You have people that are trying to play it for short game, short return, instant gratification, and you have people that are trying to do a blue chip investment that is long-term. Long-term is far more stable. Long-term is the better choice. They know that, but it's less risk, therefore
Well-
less potential return. And what she's banking on is that this app either will stay.
I don't think getting your doctorate in neuro is less risk.
No, of course it is. Of course it is. That's a blue chip stock.
What?
That's a blue chip stock. If you've got a doctorate in neuroscience, that's immediately a blue chip stock.
Okay.
If you just failed out of college, because like again,
Oh no,
the
she
only-
she already has like her masters and
Yeah.
stuff.
I know. I'm just saying that if you're talking in terms of styles of investment,
Yeah.
the one to invest in yourself that would be more stable for a better long-term result and a more maybe potentially rewarding career
Potentially more rewarding.
would probably be the doctorate side. Whereas if you're just looking for cash and you want to get this job to
I
get the
think
next job to get the next job, then I go the Robinhood
No,
route.
the reason this is tricky is because if she wanted to make as much money as possible from her education, the right choice would be to leave now and go work for Robinhood.
Who cares about money?
Exactly. So that's where the question comes in. That's why she's at a crossroads.
Yeah.
Because there's one path that is more wealth directed,
Mm-hmm.
and there's one path that is more education and resolution directed.
One of the things that I ask all of my friends is, what would you do if you had all the money? Like if you won the lottery tomorrow and you got $100 million, what would you do? And you know,
So
all the
many
answers
things.
are almost always kind of stupid to start, because we get into the juvenile version of things where it's just like, I would buy a house, I would
That's
go
a
traveling, I
vanity
would just
reaction, though.
exactly. But in terms of like what you would do with your day-to-day life,
Yeah, 5 years from now, you need a fulfilling philanthropic hobby or something.
you got to do
right?
something.
You got to do something.
Well, you
Yeah,
should need that, but immediately what comes to mind is stupid things.
It's stuff.
Yeah.
What you almost have to budget for is, I know I'm going to waste a crap load of money.
But
How
those
much
are-
will I have left?
At $100 million, you can waste crap loads and crap loads of money and not
Yeah.
worry about it.
There's just something that's different between what would you like to do and what would you like to buy, because almost everything that they respond
Absolutely.
with is what would you like to
Yeah.
buy, because that's how we think a lot of the time is like, okay, what can I buy? But the only thing you can't buy is time, and what would you do with your time, right?
Right.
So
Absolutely.
that's where I always try and prod it further to like, okay, because for me,
Hey, Kevin, know what we'd do?
I know what we'd do.
We'd get some land.
Hell yeah, we would.
We sort of sweet mushroom
Hell yeah, we
retreat.
would. We'd
I
have the
just got,
best land on the planet.
I just got that $1,200 thing I was telling
Great,
you
let's
about.
buy land.
No, that's quitting money, baby. You won't see
Done.
me for 6 months.
We're out of here. The legend of
I'm
Uncle
going
Bob.
to Mexico.
You
Fuck
boys
it.
like Mexico.
What happened to Jared? Oh, he just quit his job.
Just quit
and
his job. He got that $1,200. He
Yeah.
just cashed out. You know.
I know people like that. It's the embarrassing thing.
I know.
But anyway,
But like,
it's just going straight into my bank.
Yeah.
I'm not even thinking about it.
well, like for me, the tattooing thing, I would do that if I had all the money, because I love that pursuit.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
I
what are you
need
going to
that.
do that's going to be better than that for what that is, though?
No idea.
Oh, there's
No,
well,
so
I mean,
like,
there's a lot of great drugs out there, but
so no, but what I mean is like, you can be a tattooer. What's the next level from there?
so like
I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna see the Great Plastic Islands.
sure.
Well, really, here's
Waterworld. I
if
like
you're
it.
a kid
Yeah.
drawing pictures, what's your end game?
So for me, it's not an end game of like hierarchy. It's what that act does for my brain.
And what the
So
in process looks like.
Sure, yeah. But for me, it's more about the like giving my brain the thing that it's asking for, which is to use my brain in a creative way, that it can be present and create something. And that is important to my brain. I used to do it in music. Now I do it in this, and it is very necessary for me to be like a whole person.
Yeah, I seen Dave on the weekend, and he had so much to say about how talented of a guitarist you were.
Well, blush.
No, he did. He was like, yeah, Kevin was a very, very gifted musician.
He was. He
Was.
died. That guy
I
died.
don't know if he is or not. Now, he said he had a lot of talent. He could have gone just about wherever he wanted. I swear
yeah.
to God, he said that. Like, no
Dude,
shit-eating grin.
Okay, so I had a lot of offers to
So-
go do cool things. It just would have taken a lot of risk. Like I got.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, right? Because like there's a lot of really talented musicians.
Yeah.
And then they don't all succeed.
No, and like if I had wanted to take the leap and live in the States illegally, I probably would be quite successful right now doing that. Just the long and short of it. I still have Carrie Underwood's guitar player's phone number. He offered me to stay at his house while I was getting on
Do
my
you
feet
have
down there.
regret about not doing it? Regret might be too strong a word.
What ifs?
I wouldn't be who I am now if I did. So no.
Who might you be?
Probably.
Do you ever wonder who you might be, like not just aesthetically, but like inside?
I would hope that I would still be as open as I am currently, but at the time I was very closed off to the world in general, and I don't like
You needed
that
to take
person.
your lickings first.
I think
Pretty
he would have
well.
died at 27 with a weight lighter in his pocket.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a definite, still is a definite possibility. I just have to go back in time.
Dying at 27?
Yeah, I'll just go
How
back
about
there.
dying at 37 in this path?
Yeah, there we go. Because we
Yeah,
age
physical
longer now,
now.
right? But no, like it would have been very different. Like my life would have been very different, but probably fairly similar, I would assume. It just
Yeah.
would be. It just would be a different thing. Like it starts feeling like a job. Just is what it is.
I was told something a long, long time ago by a guy who trained me in the kitchen back when I was 14. He said, "Who you are in one kitchen is who you'll be in every kitchen."
Yeah.
And it sounds like a crazy, like Yoda-like wisdom, but it maps on, and I think about it all the time, still to this day.
No way.
Whenever I think like, "Oh, this shit sucks," it's like, no, because it'll be that way wherever you go.
Yeah,
you're
that's
gonna
the
have
thing.
the same issues with things you encounter.
Yeah.
pretty well
He
everywhere.
memed you. He gave you a
He did.
snapshot of something that you're now going to reflect
That's just a
back
truism.
on forever.
I
Yeah.
tell other guys that line too.
Yeah, you're memeing them.
yeah.
That's so real, though.
It is real. It's absolutely, and it mapped on like hard. Because at first I was like, "Huh," and then it's like played over in my head many times throughout the years.
Yeah.
Like whenever I'll encounter something particularly annoying, and I'm like, "No, I'm gonna have to work with this because this is probably gonna happen no matter where you go." And then you're gonna have to get better at dealing with, because people are always gonna be shitty.
Yeah.
Things are always going to fuck up and go wrong. And then it's just on you about putting it into perspective and rationalizing it and getting through it however you need to.
Those are some wise words, man. That's pretty interesting. Because, like, you could put that in anything.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of, like, when DMX died. There was all these memes of DMX and videos of him, and he did an interview saying, like, he said, I trust everyone, but I trust everyone to be who they are.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you know.
And that tunnels in.
Yeah.
Like, because be who you are is a pretty loaded statement.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Uh-huh.
That
Some
comes with a
people
lot
are
of
kinda
problems.
sacks of shit to start
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
To start with, and then they have their good moments.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I have a theory.
Sure.
This is another thing I'm thinking out.
You're working on a thought,
Yeah, I am.
you Mr. Peterson?
A little, yeah. So I wonder how much of all of people's shit, if you will, is from internally lying to themselves.
37.6%.
Makes sense.
Just kidding.
Oh.
It's
42.
way higher than that.
Yeah.
A lot.
But just like, so, you know, you have an internal dialogue, and then you have your external action from that, or like your words say
No,
don't match
absolutely.
your actions, and how much of the issue that is you as a person becomes from the misalignment of those two things.
That little voice in your head is using a language, a symbol system to communicate to yourself. You're constantly misinterpreting that and lying to yourself. That little voice isn't necessarily being true. That little voice is going, wait, how do you say that to them? They're going to hate you for that. You shouldn't have said that. They're going to remember that, and they're going to think of you like this because of what you said. And that little voice is in there just lying to you, beating you up, because chances are they don't care. They don't remember what you said.
Well, here's the real question, though. So would that voice be there in the same way if what you were saying you knew to be true to what you were supposed to be saying? So, like, because, like, I wonder how much of we tiptoe around whether or not we're going to be received well by the world because we're not authentically giving whatever it is we know we're supposed to be giving. It's like the idea that you only gave 60% of what you were wanting to give at that time. Therefore, you second guess yourself as to how it's going to be received because it wasn't genuine.
But none of us are ever going to be able to walk around and genuinely behave in the way that we want to and feel true to ourselves. There's
Why?
always going to be times where we misstep, where our emotions lead us
Sure.
to behave in contradiction to our values. So conflict arises from that. I've actually read a lot of books about this.
Totally.
Surprise. So in that conflict is where you then start to be hard on yourself and beat yourself up. So the biggest defense against those internal lies and that internal dialogue is being able to say, wait, no, I did my best in that situation. Here's where I may have misstepped, but I did my best. And then once you stop kicking your own ass for those little mistakes no one else gives a fuck about, then you're able to be more true to yourself in the future because you have the clarity. Instead of lying to yourself and burying yourself under heaps of guilt and negative self-reflection, you're able to say, no, I did my best. If they remember that negatively, that's not for me to worry about. Me beating myself up with that will only cause that situation to happen again.
Can I ask a couple questions to that?
Yeah.
So if that's the case, let's just say that's the case.
Yeah, in that
Then-
paradigm, obviously that frame can look different.
So, like, I would say so if you're going to deal with an emotional response to something, emotional response would have a baser version of it, right? Like, so if it's anger or whatever, like, anger is usually defense. Defense is because of insecurity or not feeling stable or whatever it is. So, like, what I'm saying is, if you get past if you get to that emotion, the anger, and you keep unpacking it further down, and what I'm asking is, if you're at the baser level of guilt and shame and insecurity and all of those things,
You got a lot of layers above you is what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're kind of buried in.
because, like, of course, if you get to this part, your emotion
Once you're here, you're much more able to
Yeah.
act in alignment with your own values.
Well, what I'm asking is, if you get to the place where those things are addressed, your foundational things, and you're
Okay, yeah.
acting out of understanding of those. So
Okay.
it's like if you come to the place
Sorry,
where
I
you,
just got your metaphor backwards.
yeah, sorry.
That's all.
So, like, say your insecurity, right,
Mm-hmm.
or whoever's insecurity. If you get to a place of security within that,
Yeah.
then if you have emotional response, does it have the same skew of your vision, or is it simply because you understand where you are and what's happening to you or in your world is out of misalignment from what you understand of yourself, rather than it being I'm talking about it fully embracing your shadow.
That's
is
right.
basically what
You're
I'm
then
driving
able
at.
to say, oh, look, I behaved out of line with my values.
Yes.
And that's why I'm feeling this way.
Yeah.
I can now work on that. If you've developed a pattern where you often behave out of line with your values and you're unable to look it dead in the eye and address it like that, then you're just going to continue running in fear and running more further into those situations rather than out of.
That's what
Yeah.
that's exactly what I'm driving at.
Yeah.
Where it's
And-
like we
and
kind
and-
of keep running into walls because we're not looking at the origin of whatever it is that is
And-
driving us towards those walls.
And then those lies to yourself keep compounding more and more because the lie is always, oh no, I'm a terrible person because I did this.
yeah.
Oh no, I'm
bad.
I'm bad.
line, I'm a terrible person because of this.
Yeah.
It's problematic because all you have to do to cancel a lot of this is know that even though you have this internal dialogue and you think all of these things,
Everyone else does too.
everyone else does too. Everyone else is as bad a person as you are, right? And from there, it's only an egocentric person that thinks otherwise,
Exactly.
right? And so then once you know that, you can forgive yourself, right, for all your flaws. You're walking around going, I'm going to meet someone who's as deeply flawed as I am over and over again today.
Yeah.
They just might not have sight of it.
Exactly.
Right? That might be the only, and we talked about this on the Mushroom podcast.
Of course we did.
The
I still haven't listened to that.
awareness
yeah.
of your like your inner demons versus the unawareness of them.
Yeah.
Like they exist in you whether you know they're there or not.
Oh, yeah.
Well, but again, they only exist in you in that way because of your failure to look at them, right? Like, if you, how do I say this? It's like there's a cliff edge, and as long as you could see it as a cliff edge, and you can only see it as falling and death, that's the only way you see it. But if you're at the other end of it and you're looking up, it's a mountain to climb kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like it's just perspective of which way you can look at it. Because it might only seem like one thing, but that's just because of your current view at that time.
That's like the end of your life versus the beginning of your life, right?
Yeah.
Look how much there is, and then at the end, it's all over.
Yeah.
Right? It's the
Well,
same thing though.
It
It is. It's just a different vantage point.
exactly.
It's just now I'm at the end and I'm looking back and it doesn't look like much. Where when I was at the start of this journey, it looked like I had so much to do.
I think the weird thing is that it is the same always. Like, because we're always just here.
And there's a Doppler effect happening too, in those things that are going to happen. Those things that happened last week and are going to happen next week are so all important to today. But you're forgetting that a year ago you had a week before and a week next stuff that was making you crazy that is now so inconsequential to where you are today. And if you can take that perspective and insert it into your moment and say, oh, the thing I'm stressing about that happened last week and is going to happen next week.
My dissociation is because I do this every day to some
Absolutely.
degree. I'm always away from the moment.
Yeah.
Like I'm here now, it's already over. Once I get somewhere, I consider that occasion is finished. I don't get there and the occasion begins. So how this maps on to tattooing, for example, is once Rick starts tattooing me today,
It's already done.
that's done.
Yeah.
I'm not headed to that anymore. That's over now.
You're in it.
Every time I get somewhere, that experience is over.
You're Mr. Journey.
It's really hard to describe to someone who doesn't do the same thing, I think. But every time I arrive at a destination, the only thing I was actually living of that was the arrival to it or the journey to it. Once I'm there, that's behind me. It's like me on my wedding day giving a speech and thinking actively in my head, this is probably the best night of my life, and it's already over. That was playing through my head. Like it's one of the most visceral stains in my memory of just being like active awareness that this night is already behind me.
Is that awareness or is that a sudden self-consciousness?
I've had that self-consciousness for a very long time. It's more powerful in moments that should be very important.
Right.
Like it's a ever-present passenger, but it gets louder at times.
Yeah.
Like it starts yapping at me when it means the most. When it's just a shitty day at work, it's good to have around. But when it's the best day of your life,
Yeah,
it's
you want it to shut up.
Damn it.
it's this text reminder that keeps going off. You have 10 more minutes left to enjoy this moment. You have 4 more minutes left to enjoy this moment.
Man, that's got to be...
You have 32 seconds left to enjoy
So,
this moment.
have you had a moment out of time?
I believe so. Yeah. I honestly do.
Okay.
I feel like
Good.
it overloads sometimes, and it's too much to process.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you
if-
almost lose who you are, what you were doing,
Yep.
and why you cared about any of it.
Yeah, good.
If nothing,
making sure.
sleep is a moment at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as long as
Sleep-
you view sleep correctly, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, like you can experience those in everyday life.
I've had it happen to me, particularly in horrible moments, right? Like where
Yeah, that's
anything
usually
you-
where they show up pretty easily.
anything that you cared about has now been smashed.
Yeah.
Right? And you're just left in this bleakness.
Yeah. Because like good emotions tend to be skippy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They're like I don't know if it's just elevated heart rate or whatever it is, but it's just like the ability to enjoy a good moment seems to be really fleeting.
Well, I've
Well,
heard that
when your brain is full of serotonin and
Yeah, yeah,
dopamine,
yeah.
you're like, we're good. Let's roll.
Everything's great. Let's go.
Yeah.
on an average, the older you get, the less likely it is that you're to assume good things will happen.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do we have any evidence to refute that? Nope.
No, but at the same time, we do.
Sure. Okay.
Like, I would argue that shouldn't be, because we've
long
got
as-
40 years of track to prove that good things have happened.
Well,
As
I
long
mean-
as you're someone who does the self work to establish that as part of the algorithm in your mind.
I would say it depends what you mean by good.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, what's
Because,
good?
like,
Winning the lottery.
So most people measure
Not having a good day at work?
most people measure bad things as suffering, right? And like any type of discomfort. And you lean into discomfort on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
So everybody would say that you getting
Cathartic.
tattooed is like on the scale. Like if you just gave them, hey, once a week, you're going to be in pain for about 2.5 hours. And then just give them that. It would be absolutely not. I don't want that. What are we talking about? You're going to be in a stabby kind of jolty pain in different areas of your body for about 2.5 hours a week. Nobody would want it.
Well, can I posit a thought I've been working on?
Yeah, please. I love thoughts.
I'm ready.
I think I fear stopping things that hurt because I don't want to feel shelved. Like, if I'm not in pain, I'm not growing, I'm not learning, I'm not changing.
Yep.
I may as well be dead.
Yes.
And this is an easy avenue to get that.
Yes.
And the other avenues are more life-threatening and more dangerous, right?
Yeah, sure.
Or else self-destructive. Like, and I really made the attachment recently because when I stopped dealing with women that would hurt me,
yeah.
I really started diving into tattoos.
Yeah, yeah. It would make sense.
And it's just like you're filling one vice with another.
Well, like there is something to that. Like, again, I can't quote the paper, but I've heard that they can measure the physical stress that you go through when you're going through emotional stress, and they are equal to as if you have gone through the physical version of that. So, like when you get attacked verbally, your body has a similar response to if you're getting attacked physically.
You feel ill.
Yeah.
Right?
So you, in terms of the pain that you would have felt from those people, those are genuine stimuluses that when you had a physicalness that you could attribute to it, rather than just keep it like within your brain, it's like a physical manifestation of what your brain's discomfort was happening.
And it goes a level deeper in that I don't need it as much as I used to.
Yeah, of course.
All right, it's
You're
almost
tapering off, man.
I don't need it as much as I
Seriously.
used to, and I used to need it a lot. Like it was like a constant.
3 or 4 times a week, man.
I need a new tattoo. I need to, and it's
16
like, what
years
do you,
from now, you'll be getting tattooed once a month.
Well, what do you need this for?
Probably.
Like, why
Yeah,
are you
probably
doing
not.
this?
Still
Some
more.
people recognized it before I did.
Yeah.
But I don't think they even knew the language around it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think they understood the operation without understanding the definition of it.
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of like, oh, this guy's going through the journey.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell that means is pretty ambiguous. But what it actually meant for me was this is some sort of healing or reconstruction that's going on.
Yep.
And it's going to come at the lash, almost like a flatulent, right? Like I'm whipping myself with a bladed whip or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're atoning for sins or something back in the day.
Well, like there is something real to that, because like I have not tattooed very long, and a majority of what I have tattooed on people is some sort of dealing with pain.
Yeah.
Which, like, I'm assuming you have the same. It just seems like
I don't
there's
understand what you mean.
Well, like, so
That
Some
guy with
sort
this, self-injury you did the other day.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
one. The rose thing I did was a memorial piece.
Oh yeah,
it told me that.
piece is a good example of somebody dealing with pain.
Yeah. The wreath I did was like she was getting out of a cult that she had been in for 18 years.
Ooh.
And that was her moment of triumph, and therefore she got a crown of laurel wreath. Like it was just like there's a bunch of these types of things where it's just like even for me, like getting my sleeve started was for my Opa when he passed, even though he would have hated tattoos, but it was just something
but
that
that's
I needed
just
to
'cause
do.
It's not part of his history, right?
And it's not
like
for
you
him.
can't put your
No.
Opa in today's day without updating his software.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Like You can't. No, you seriously can't.
Absolutely.
Like, because like people will say, "Oh, my grandmother's so racist." It's like, no, she's not.
She's just running OS 1.3.
Yeah, she's running
whatever.
Yeah.
old software.
Yeah.
Like, grandma can't come. She's like the first ever computer.
She's Windows
Grandma's
95.
cultural conditioning is from the 50s.
So-
Yeah,
You have to
exactly.
almost
Windows
give
95 was real racist.
I'm
Just
not
is.
saying you can't give you have to give them a pass necessarily, but
No.
like, you do have to understand that that stuff was normal in their
They didn't
day.
have auto update.
Can that be the title of today's episode?
Yes.
Windows 95 was racist.
Yeah, that'll get us shut down pretty quickly.
This does not reflect the views of YouTube.
But yeah, no, I think that there was a huge change in my whole routine of suffering, and then it's like, oh, well, maybe I don't need to suffer as much anymore.
Yeah, I would think that you would go through times where you need more and times where you need less.
Yeah, for sure. Which is an odd thing because you're reliant on someone else who has nothing to do with the problem,
I
right?
think some of the other part of that is like when you are suffering, you are alive.
This is how I was going to build into this. Is
You're in the moment.
I
Yeah.
feel as if there's no struggle and there's no suffering, there should be no life.
Technically.
Like, I don't want life without strife.
Yeah, but that's like people's number one thing. Now,
See, I see it
it's
a
like everything is struggle, and I don't want struggle, so just give me stuff for free. And
People
I'll just,
want comfort.
Yeah.
People are hungry for
They wanna
comfort
feel
now.
assuaged.
When you can't feel happy unless you feel the negatives as well.
Yeah.
What
Right?
are you
Like,
winning? if
happiness-
you've never lost.
Happiness comes from pain and discomfort.
Yeah.
Because you can now appreciate everything else.
I think people get mixed up with the idea of happiness and peace. Like, peace is the goal.
Peace
in
and
my
contentment is great.
Yeah. Well, no, even contentment, that's on the positive. Peace is neutral. It's existence. It's
Okay,
like,
okay.
you know what I mean? Like, that's your median. That's your alkaline.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the rest, like contentment, that's immediately in the positive range.
Mm-hmm.
Because that means that I'm not just at peace, I am secure in my peace.
Yeah.
Hey, Terry, could you get the door?
Well, I've always said that when people will ask you, "Are you happy?"
Yeah.
they mean well when they ask you that. But I'd rather them ask you, "What's your well-being like?"
See, now that I have a much more complex definition of the word happy,
Yeah.
when people ask, "Are you happy?" I take it a much different way.
It's
And
not a good word.
No, it is.
It has, well, it depends on how you
because,
look at it,
because
right?
I have a very particular relationship with am I happy? Because I see various different kinds of happiness. You know, it's like in the day, the week, the month, the decade, there's all different levels, and I can explain where my contentments and satisfactions and prides are.
See,
and
that
how
would be a
works.
well-being to me.
True.
Like
true.
that would be this is my life.
Yeah.
And it has its moments, but overall I'm doing well.
Yeah, where's my median?
Yeah. That's
And-
well-being to me.
And that's what I'm trying to say in terms of like peace of being at alkaline. Like, so that way you can engage with both sides of the emotion from a stable place, and you can feel them correctly. Because like if you're trying to, it's kind of like if you're in really really hot water all the time and you jump into a cold bath. It's like, you know, the degree of separation between the two needs to make sense. Whereas like if you're thinking that life needs to be entirely above alkaline or
Right.
entirely positive, then when you do hit lows, they seem extra deep.
Do you think this is why we have or part of why we have such a depression problem is
Yes.
that we keep telling people they should always feel happy?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
And like that
Or-
was
or-
one of the
or-
hardest
and
things
our-
for me was like that depression or the feelings of sad were a negative, like that were not supposed to exist.
Yeah, yeah. You
Like, what?
you shouldn't have to experience this discomfort.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Why don't we just give you nothing? I'll give you this pill called Fuck It All.
Yeah.
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 That was the Robin Williams.
Yeah, I know the word. Live on Broadway.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was such a good special.
Yeah, it was.
But like
It holds up pretty good.
again, it's just our familiarity with the idea
that down.
of both sides of that coin. You know what I mean? Like they both serve a purpose. They both should be felt.
But you can't have
equally
one
almost.
without the other. So,
Exactly.
you know, good luck flattening it.
I mean, you're never going to get to a place where you don't have those spikes, but like you need to embrace them when they happen. Like, and I don't understand why we've built a culture entirely around erasing one side of that.
A big problem for me is when I remember the time in my life when I was the happiest, and this is going to reaffirm what we just said. I remember also a time in my life when I was at my saddest.
Yeah.
Right? The person and the people, the things that made me the happiest are the things that made me the worst too. and those things are not tenable with a well-being, right? Like in this case, I'll reference exactly the event with my second fiance. It was a blissful state at its best, and then within the same day, it could be absolute catastrophe for everyone involved. And that is not tenable in a well-being mindset. Where it's like, I know what my tomorrow will look like. I know what next week's going to look like. There will be some standard deviation. And that's all I'm okay for now. Because those shipwrecks aren't worth those rainbows. Right? I'm not trading my perfect day for my nightmare of an evening anymore.
No.
Right? I need that it's going well.
That'd be like if you were to measure that as like a heartbeat. That type of relationship is like tachycardic. You're having a heart attack at all times.
Yeah. So when I've had people ask me, what was the happiest day of your life? Like that kind of thing. It's like, yeah, that's the only thing you're interested in. You should be more interested in what was the happiest prolonged period of my life? What was the most stable economically?
Where did I just feel?
Yeah. Yeah. But that doesn't trend.
No, but we do idealize it. We do look at monks that like give up all their shit and go meditate on a mountaintop and be silent for a long time. We look at them with like glory.
But then I look at like,
but nobody's gonna do it.
Your parents' age, where they haven't touched each other in 20 years, kind of thing. Like, or that's the assumption.
I mean, I hope not.
Well, no, but like, it's like I don't ever want that to be me. I've always thought that way, and then you go, but they're happy, like they've made it. Their well-being is in check.
Sure.
Right. So what is important? Highs and low lows and great sex, or a sort of boring life that's sustainable for a period of 40 to 50 years. What's better?
Depends on which day you ask me.
There's got to be some middle ground, right?
Yeah, I could tell you really didn't know how to answer that one.
Depends on which day. Because like it all appeals at some point in time, right?
And also because in some of those cases, that contentment has come after that long period of time. Because in some of those situations, each of them have kind of just given up on certain hopes and interests.
Yeah.
And now they're happy and accept that and are stoked about it, and it works for them.
That might just be it. That might be acceptance.
Yeah.
Rather than like embracing.
Fairly old man friend who's probably 60 years old.
What are we saying?
Let me explain.
Okay.
He and his wife probably haven't had sex in 15 years or something like this.
Really?
He's
That's
still
so
with
sad.
her. And, well, he confided in me about lots of stuff, which I always felt was strange. He was an old cook that I worked with. He would just tell me stories about his life.
Yeah.
We would talk. I would never open up to him. He would always open up to me, and I would just listen. He told me him and his wife hadn't been together in 15 years. He services himself. She does whatever, and he said that he doesn't feel bad about it though, because he remembers when they were hot for each other, when they were young, when they were beautiful, and they're not anymore. And rather than pretend, it's nice to just have those memories, right? I was like,
all right.
Are the memories enough to keep you warm?
There are very different types of people out there.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I know, but like this person exists.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So like you have to understand.
Oh, and I think this person is a decent percentage of the population as
yeah,
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying this is a small chunk.
That's what I was thinking.
No,
was
I
like,
think this is a big chunk.
He's just saying what a lot of people haven't said.
Absolutely.
Right.
So my only thing with that is like, I think in the next while, 20 years, we're going to start looking at different things as contributors to overall health.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be an element that I would consider to be contributing to overall health. So for me, if I was to just objectively look at that, my initial gut reaction is that's not good for your overall health. Because in terms of overall vitality, how you would measure the health of a person, as you get older, you want to try and maintain as much of those things as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like normal sexual function is, in my opinion, very high up on that list. Because that shows a lot about your cardiovascular health. That shows a lot about your endocrine system. That shows a lot about the everything.
And yet humans in many places have never been less sexually active.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we have more, what was it, now 18-year-olds in the U.S. is like 27% are virgins.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they have the highest youth virginity or highest 18-year-old virginity that they've had.
In the States.
Yeah.
What the
I'll
prevalence
look
of-
up the exact number.
Because
but
around here, it seems like everyone's lost their virginity at like 14.
it's just getting so much more common for young people, and especially young. Oh, sorry, this was about young males because they have access to pornography.
Exactly.
so quickly, right?
Oh, yeah. See, no. Yeah, I don't think that's healthy. Jerking off to supermodels
Yeah, so
for 8 years before you get
we
laid.
talked about this before, but the NoFap movement, I've
Yeah, yeah.
definitely given a lot of. I've given it a lot of time myself.
Yeah.
NoFap. I've done NoFap several times.
Yeah.
And I do feel those superpowers they talk about when I do it. Like, I think you feel. I think when you do it too much, you start looking at the world differently.
Oh, yeah, you sure do. Especially if pornography's involved.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it totally messes
Yeah,
all of that shit.
That changes some things. When you see a girl, if you've been watching a lot of pornography and you see a girl, or you're at a party or whatever, you're seeing the genders differently than you did previous to that period of pornography use.
Yeah, and it's not even conscious. It's like a
30%
subconscious change.
ages 18 to 22.
Are virgins.
Yeah,
In boys.
have never had sex. No, so this is traditional sex.
Oh,
Never
okay.
had it.
Oh, okay.
Right, but that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like that's a crazy high
I
number.
mean, I was a virgin until 23.
Well, but we were religious.
That's right.
Religion's at an all-time low. So what's the difference? You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about here?
A lot of secret cults that are not included in
Me,
those.
it was definitely
surveys.
a lot younger.
Yeah.
It's definitely 15.
See, that's
And,
quite common from what I like when I talk to people. That's what I hear most of the time.
Me and my first fiance had already had a miscarriage when I was 18.
Don't even
Really?
feel any of that stress.
Wow.
Well, my son was born when I was 20.
Wow.
So yeah,
You're a kid.
I've been fucking for a while.
Yeah. Remy fucks.
Remy fucks.
Yeah.
Remy has
Yeah.
fucked. He's fucked up his own life many times.
Meanwhile, I'm coming up to 10 years this fall.
Well, I've been at it a while. I don't know if I don't know if practice makes perfect.
I'll be 10
though.
years in a couple years, really.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it was later.
Crazy.
I mean,
You were saving yourself.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was doing. I was an idiot.
Hey, aren't we all?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying what I did was the right thing to do.
Doesn't
I'm
sound like the
just-
right thing
It was
to do.
a thing.
It was
Yeah.
the thing I did.
We were jealous at the time, probably.
Yeah.
I was doing. Me and Sarah were talking to Ivan in the car the other day, and Sarah was babbling to Ivan about. Well, it's true. They were chattering on about.
Babbling and chattering.
It's true.
Oh my God.
About Ivan likes all these different girls, but they keep not liking him back.
Ah.
And Sarah's like, "Well, that probably happened to you, right, Remy?" And I was like, "No, that never happened to me.
Fuck you, Ivan.
That never happened to me ever." Honestly, there was only one girl that I liked that I never got to date, and I got to be with her twice later in life. So,
Interesting.
and it was only because when I liked her the first time, I was a hefty boy, but then later in life, I was in pretty good shape. That was the change. But I was always very silver-tongued. I've always had a way with words. I've always been the good ear. I've always been the shoulder to cry on guy, right? I've checked all of these boxes, and it's just part of my personality. I always felt like I was the ugly kid who had to learn how to be
Suave.
interesting, a good communicator,
Yep.
funny, right?
You had to have a personality.
Yeah. And so then when you suddenly, when you're looking a little better, it
Yeah.
becomes like you're playing a different game. I'm
Yeah,
not saying I can walk up to a supermodel. What I'm saying is,
I mean, you physically could.
well, sure, but the
Hello,
only
miss.
people who ever
Tap her on the shoulder.
whoever
Excuse me.
interested me, I was well within my abilities.
Yeah, yeah.
It was never hard for me. So when we were having that conversation, it was like, oh no, that never happened. And in fact, Sarah herself, I told her, like on our first date, I remember smugly saying, "Yeah, we're gonna date," and she was like, "Oh, what makes you say that?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. I figure you're going to ask me out." And she was so
Damn,
annoyed.
that is-
I'm taking notes, buddy.
She
Yeah, I
was
know.
so
Jeez.
annoyed. And she ended up asking me out.
Yeah, of course.
And then a little later, I said to her, I think it was like 6 months after we were together, I was like, yeah, we're going to get married one day. And she's like, how the fuck could you know that? I was like, I just do.
Yep.
Right? I already knew. And then we
Sure
got
as
engaged.
shit.
Yeah, here we are. I told that story on our
Please tell me
wedding
you
night.
at least asked her that.
I did ask her to marry me.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Those are my traditional
But she
values.
she
right
had
there.
she
You're gonna
had
do it. You might as
started
well.
to think I wasn't going to
Oh, yeah, yeah.
because we had a problem early on in our relationship, and I was like, I don't even know if I want to continue doing this. Like, I've had enough of this kind of shit. And I told her, like, if we do this now, it's because you want it. Like, it was one of those kinds of moments. And then I think she figured that it would just ride out and that I would never truly be interested in more. So I waited a long time after we started dating to pop that question then. And here we are now, right? But I think that moment that I'm referencing was probably a good thing because up till then the relationship had been too good and too easy.
Yeah, when it's too good, that's... I don't know.
And it
Anything
also
that's too easy.
it also gave me time to redirect and kind of assert that I'm not putting up with shit. So
Lay the hammer down.
yeah,
Got it.
sometimes you have to do power plays.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds crazy, but it's true.
Why? Why does it sound crazy?
Well, because I mean, it sounds too strong or too confident. But if you don't have some of that, I think you're in for a hard time.
Yes. I know that. Very well.
Yeah.
I know that.
I know you know that.
Yeah. Learning those types of things earlier on would
Your
be always
whole
better.
situation, I don't know as much as I wish I did, but at the
You
same
wish you
time, well, no, I know you have something happening, right?
Oh, yes.
But like I
Quite.
right,
Right, indeed.
but I don't. You don't like to ask people about that shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I
gotcha.
mean?
Next time, we'll eat some we'll make him eat a bunch of mushrooms, and we'll sit here and interview him and make him like cry
Here
and
and
confess
review
his whole-
him.
Yeah,
Man, like,
I just got notepads.
so...
but it's all under the guise of like helping him, right?
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
gonna be like searing him with ridiculous questions and
Shit,
deep
is that
dives.
popcorn in your lap, Scott?
like,
Jesus Christ, this is dark.
he just...
Caramel and cheddar popcorn.
Kevin's
it's the best.
Chicago
falling
mix?
apart. Scott's snacking with a big grin.
Yeah.
Crunching popcorn in the mic while we're having our conversation.
The thing that's weird now for me is that, like, none of that scares me. Like, I could be fully honest about all of that. And, like, that's a really weird place to be since I was, like, very emotionally closed off to life for a good majority of my existence. But now it's like, I don't really care. Like, I'll say whatever's going on.
Because you
it's like-
accept what is.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I can't remember who said this originally, but it was like that. I heard it, and now I can't forget it. Of just like stress is the measurement of stress is just your response to your refusal to embrace your reality. And it was one of those like, oh yeah, right, because like if you just are okay and understand where you are, you might be in the middle of the ocean, but at least you're not like scrounging for land.
But only-
you know you're in the middle of the ocean.
Only this much stress is useful to help you
Yeah.
problem solve.
Yeah.
After that,
You have to know
it's
where you
just
are.
you not accepting what's happening right now.
Exactly. Like if you're in the North Pole and you keep, well, if you're in Antarctica or wherever you are and you're trying to head towards the shore and you go the wrong direction, that's a problem. You need to know where you are at least so you can be walking in the right way. So I think it might just be that, like an acceptance of what my reality is, and therefore I'm not as scared to address it because again, it's like, this is where I am. It is what it is.
Any regrets?
No, regrets are useless. They can
I
make
agree.
you not want to repeat things, and there's a great deal of things that I do not want to repeat, but it's because I learned those lessons.
And again, only this much of that stress is useful to help you avoid repeating those mistakes.
Yeah.
The rest is just there to beat you up.
I mean, a majority of like the bad decisions I made, quote unquote, or the things that have put me in difficult spots, are all the things that have also made me progress as a human and change. And therefore, I look back at a lot of those, even the most difficult things, with like a weird sense of appreciation and kind of like thankfulness for it. Because like if I didn't have it, I'd be back where I was and probably having to go through something similar and far more painful. So it's
Seems
like,
likely.
you just look back and go, damn, I wish I had done that. Like, I wish I'd invested in Bitcoin earlier. But, like, I don't know. Who gives a shit?
Yeah,
It's already happened.
Let's not do Bitcoin again. That doesn't go too well for us.
No.
I will ask a good question. I think that, and maybe you probably asked yourself this question. Do you think that you'll repeat a cycle?
I would be kind to myself if I did.
Yeah. I think that that's appropriate.
Because, like, I've done it before, and I could understand the same set of circumstances being present to put me into a similar situation, and I would be having to dig myself out of it, and then I would be like, okay, dude, hey, let's try her again. You know what I mean? Like,
how long are you kind to yourself?
I am newly kind to myself. So for me, I've been historically very hard on myself, so I don't really know. But for right now, I am.
So, like, what I'm getting at is you get through one bad situation, you find yourself in another one just like it. How long does that cycle repeat, do you think?
I would hope less and less.
Oh, before you catch it.
Before you catch it,
I'd hope less and less
I'm
every
not
time.
doing this again.
From knowing Kevin, I think he'd be quite quick to catch it these days.
Now,
Yeah, now, exactly.
yeah, but I was a moron for a long time. Like, just, and not to mention, I think it was just, that's what I thought was normal.
And you learned a whole new arrangement of red flags.
That's
Right.
that's something you say in isolation. I thought this was normal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I just, it started with jobs. Like, back when I hated my job, before I moved into this role, it was like, well, everybody hates their job. Everybody just suffers for 40 hours a week.
Most people hate their jobs.
Yeah. It was like, this job is a torture that you suffer through so you can live the rest of the 18 to 20 hours that you're awake the rest of your life. And that's what you do. And then as soon as I peeled that away, it was like, oh, wait a second. No, that's stupid. I haven't dreaded going to work since. And, like, I now know that that's possible. So for me, it's like when I hear people talk about those things, I'm just like, okay, nope, then get out. Whatever it is, if you're looking at this as a job and you hate it for 40 hours a week, get the fuck out.
I was at work for 13 hours yesterday. I'm
Did you
bad
hate
one
it?
to ask. No, but yes.
Yeah, I know. Parts of it you like because
Right.
it works with your brain. And you're good at it.
Yeah, it's never hate. It's just disinterest for me.
Yeah. So I'd still get out of it.
General boredom.
Like, I'm of the mindset that we shouldn't be in a field for more than 10 years. I think then you should switch out to something different. And even if you're going to stay within that field in some
Specialize to
capacity,
something different.
yeah, or just expand your brain. Just allow yourself to go into something different to give you a better perspective on what it is you're actually focusing on. Like, you know, learn a new language kind of nonsense where it's just like, oh, this is what you do. But, like, by learning a new language, you're making your brain work in a different area so you can be better in the other
Doing
area.
the same thing for 45 years is crazy.
I used to say, if I can take it to guitar, when I wanted to get better at playing metal, I learned jazz. It's just like it makes you think differently.
You'll learn languages faster if you learn two at a time.
Really?
Yeah, because you're.
Does that have a point of sparking? Like, say you already know 2 languages, now you take on 4 instead
Probably.
of 3, or
So
Probably.
For example, if I start using a different language, another one will come out as well. Like if I start speaking Spanish, I'll get French mixed up in there. If I start using sign language, some Spanish and French will come out.
once
Man,
you
I
know
gotta learn more
15 languages, how hard is it to learn 16? Is what I'm trying to say.
So easy. Like I've met people who are fluent in 5 languages and reasonably proficient in 10.
My problem with that is I think you would start getting confused, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That's
I have too
why.
many
Using
words
that,
now.
But you're using that muscle,
That's
right?
why learning more at a time is easier, because once you've made a connection across, like if you're an anglophone only and now you're learning French, okay, you're making boat, bateau, cool. Now you start adding German in there, whatever the German word is for boat. Now you've created 3. You've actually strengthened that connection across. You've created more accesses to the same symbol. The same picture of boat now has more roots and more connections for you. So you're actually going to learn those things faster.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's all like, associations, and
It's
if
all
you build
association.
broader associations,
Yeah.
then that's just strengthening it, right? That's really interesting. I should learn like 9 languages at one time.
Wait, in your free time.
Yeah, all that time I've got.
Yeah.
All that time I do not have. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to take every day as interestingly as I can.
What do you do differently now?
In which area of my life?
We'll just leave it broad.
In how you brush your teeth.
I am
And how you
trying.
brush your teeth.
I am trying to speak in a way that feels most correct. With whatever it is I'm thinking, feeling, doing, I want to be able to speak and act in a way that I feel is best for who I am as me. Because I'm trying to now rebuild the idea of who I am. I, for a long time, was I would put whatever my true thoughts and desires and blah 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 blah, whatever is Kevin. I tried to put that on the back burner to support others my whole life.
I
right?
know that.
So for
feeling.
me, it's like now I have like a new path in pretty much every area of my life that I have to develop a strengthened version of me within. So it's like I need to find out what that is and build that up correctly.
Does it suck to start so late?
It would scare me if I was younger and thinking that I'm redoing my life in my early 30s. No. It's not that scary right now. And in fact, like, granted, again, my whole perspective has shifted, but I'm going to keep doing this as I live, because like as time moves on, I just feel like, why wouldn't we continue to grow? Like, I don't understand the idea of going to work somewhere and you just put in your hours and then you retire and they give you a watch and then you go to the Florida Keys and then you just kind of sit on a golf
I'm
course.
wearing that watch, pal.
There you go.
This is
Like-
my 10-year gift.
So
I got it 12 years after I started working there.
No, I think
Eventually.
that life can be super rewarding, though.
I think if it resonates with you, great. It just
Exactly.
doesn't seem to
Yeah.
with me.
It's for some people.
It doesn't resonate with me.
Yeah.
The problem is it's often
you've
paired
done
with
it, though.
certain blindness.
Yeah, I've done it.
You know?
Sorry?
It's often paired with a certain blindness.
Yes.
Where people are going, this is all there is. I come home from work, I watch my soaps, I go to bed, I get up, I go to work, and when I'm old enough, I'm going to drive to Florida.
I think for me, the overarching word would be like passions. Like, I need to have passions within my life. Things that I'm moving towards. And I want to have passions when I'm 80. Like, I just do. I don't want to just be kind of like sitting.
That's like the old couple with the lack of sex life.
Yeah.
Okay, it's cool to be content with no sex life.
Yeah.
But
Great.
in
Good
15
job.
years, a lot of things could have changed. If you explore that, that might bring a lot more value than the contentment.
Well,
of
what I
not
was
having it.
hearing, to get back to that, was
They're not
their
attracted anymore.
failure to build a bridge among their aging. right?
Precisely.
Like, yeah, you were aging, but you were both getting older.
Yeah.
You could have matured your attraction.
Yeah.
Right?
Or like, if you wanted to maintain attractiveness, that's doable.
yeah.
Like, we can all get hotter. That's just
We
how it
can,
is.
But I mean, a lot of people are going to get lazy and they're going to get.
Yeah.
they're gonna-
Totally.
You know.
But
And the-
that's
and
all
the
excuses
onus-
to maintain the lethargy that would create the situation that you're just going to be like, oh, okay, I guess we just don't
I
have
think
sex.
it's an easier thing for him to just
Just not.
imagine someone
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, I know. It's
And-
no struggle. That's the
Yeah.
thing that drives me nuts about those situations where it's like you're choosing easy.
And that
you're
physical
choosing the
connection
thing
could
that's
be
not
very
hard.
rewarding.
Yes.
I remember
Yeah.
seeing
and
when I was.
the moving towards that can be rewarding as well, because
Moving
you're
towards
supporting
versus away from.
Yeah, like
We've talked
it-
about this a lot before.
if you're not okay, so we're not attracted to each other right now. So we're going to both pursue a physical form for ourselves that the other person finds attractive, and we can support each other in it. That's a passion, and that's a movement forward. And I think if you don't have those things, that's an indicator of physical health, in my personal opinion. But I get it. It feels uncomfortable, and you don't want to be uncomfortable your whole life. But that's a possibility if that's something you genuinely want.
When I was young, I remember when I went to my grandparents' house, like my grandfather, grandmother on my mother's side. They're both passed away now. They died when they were 70. But anyway, when I was young, they were in their 40s. But I remember thinking of them as if they were already in their 70s then, because of the way they lived.
Right.
And like
right.
when I went to their house, like my grandfather had his room, and my grandmother had her room.
Yep.
They did not sleep together. They were only in their 40s.
I know. That's wild to me.
Like,
Because even then, it's like, oh, okay, well, he snores. Okay, work on the snoring then.
yeah.
That's another sign of physical
It
health.
was
You don't
weird.
breathe while you sleep?
But, like, my mother was born. My grandmother was only 14 when my mom was born. So they had a very early childbirth, and I'm sure there was all kinds of stress and problems that came about. So this is 30 years later. So, like, imagining that these two could have been fucking for 30 years. And then just what day did it happen that he went, we haven't slept in the same bed in a while. I'm just going to sleep in the closet instead, the walk-in closet. I'll get a
wild.
little room set up in there. Like, when does that happen? When do you
Slowly.
get that far apart that you go, you know what? We'll just have separate rooms.
Just slowly,
So
man.
I have separate rooms,
Yeah, but
This
your
is a
situation is
different
different.
but we sleep in the same bed.
Yeah.
This is a much different thing.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't sleep
Your
together.
situation is
ever.
very unique.
We keep our clothes in different rooms.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
that to me is like cool.
This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
these two are
we
so
still,
distant.
we still have drawers. In
They
each other's
haven't
rooms.
even shared a warm moment in what seems like years.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
when they do speak to each other, it's cold and shrill.
Yeah. Your
And
situation
short.
would be on the other end of that spectrum.
Yeah,
And-
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Meanwhile, like this morning, Ronan woke up after me, so I brought her a coffee and went and grabbed the kids and told the kids to go climb in bed with her and stuff, and it was pretty great. It was a good morning.
You're describing a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
I'm
We're talking about
describing-
unhealth here.
I'm
Jeez.
describing a death-like hellhole. That when you went there as a small child, you left with questions.
Yeah. He went, so this is life. That's weird.
Is this going to happen to me and my partner one
This
day?
seems sad.
Like, these are my role models?
Yeah.
Grandma hates Grandpa, and Grandpa's hiding from Grandma.
So by contrast, on my mom's side, my grandparents are quite young. So not anymore, obviously. But like when I was like say 10, 11, they were in their early 50s, right? So maybe mid 50s at that point. But my grandfather was all about we're snowmobiling, we're building garages and camps and welding stuff and doing stuff. My grandmother's a little bit more. She's a bit quicker. She's a little more fragile, a little more slow moving, but still like
Mentally
they're
fit.
yeah, mentally fit. They're hanging out in the summer. She'll go in the boat even though it's a bit hard on her back, and they're having a time. So
Sure.
it's a very different picture for me to imagine them ever having that kind of distance and that kind of fraction.
It
in a
doesn't
relationship.
happen because of age.
Like don't get me wrong, they're in their late 70s, early 80s now. So I doubt their sex life is bloody incredible. Their bed does the thing where it like raises and lowers
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But
One of them sex beds.
right,
I need to get me one.
Yeah,
of
I got to
those
get
sex
one of them
beds.
newfangled sex beds.
someone's got to do it.
Yep.
I don't think it's a symptom of age. I think it's a symptom of not conditioning the relationship, not
Yeah.
checking in on one another, not giving that hug at the end of a day, shit like that. You do that for long enough, and eventually you're sleeping in the closet.
And if both of you prefer easier, and this is easier, well, we just did the easy thing, and the easy thing was not worry about it.
Yeah, fair.
yeah,
That's not how I'm going to be, but that's okay.
I intend to live my life differently. Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
I
yours
would-
is in the outback, so.
Yeah.
Hey, what's the story on the hat anyway?
Oh,
Not
that's for
that it
another,
isn't an
that's for
amazing
another
hat.
day. That'll be a legend that lives in infamy.
Just never gets addressed.
Yeah.
Remember
So-
that time Scott wore a hat?